So it's not often that you can replace electronic components without needing any soldering at all, but that's just what you can do with the headphone socket on these Xbox controllers. Hi and welcome back to the shed. I'm Joe Bleeps, and in this video I'll be showing you just how easy it is to replace a damaged headphone socket on an Xbox One controller. So this is an older controller, but as they are still compatible with the Xbox Series S and Series X, I figured, seeing as I needed to repair it anyway, it might be relevant for a video. It's a fairly straightforward process so long as you know what you're doing. So in this video, I'm going to guide you through the essential steps. So this is the Xbox One controller. You can tell the difference between that and the Series S or X by the little scoop on the top front of it. Now, this will actually work on the Xbox Series consoles, but in this case, the issue is the headphone socket. So the headphone socket's inside the controller, but it's actually held in place without any solder. So I've got this from Zed Labs. It's a replacement 3.5mm headphone jack port socket for the Xbox One. So there are different ones of these depending on your model of controller. This one is the most common, the 1708 controller. So once this is out of its packaging, you can see that it's got these little sprung contact points. So when it's compressed, it holds in place with pressure. It bends the legs and keeps the pressure on the points on the circuit board. So opening this controller is slightly different to the Series S and X controllers. You can heat the plastic on the hand grips to make it easier, but to be honest, it's not really needed. Use a prying tool to open it up, and if you get in kind of near the bottom and give it a bit of a wiggle, it should get into the gap, and then if you slide it up towards the top, the little catches will all come undone. After that, you need to grip it with your fingers and pull to the side, and it should pop off relatively easily. So this exposes two T8 security screws, and if you do the same on the other side, there's two more there. However, there's one more screw in the middle in the battery compartment. Now you could just pop the screwdriver straight through if you don't mind having a hole in it. However, you can actually remove the label and leave it as though you were never in there in the first place. If you use a heat gun and apply some heat, I just had this set to 100 degrees, spent a little bit of time going over the label, and then used a scalpel at the bottom corner just to lift the edge of the sticker. After that, I got a bit of a grip on it with some tweezers, and then once a bit more was exposed, I could get it between my finger and thumb and gently peel it back until the screw was exposed. So these aren't your regular T8 screws, this is a T8 security bit. So if you look at the end of the screwdriver, it's got like a little hole in it, and if you look closely at the screws, they've got a little pin in the middle. So if you've got a regular T8 screwdriver, that won't work unless you do something along the lines of trying to snap the pin off or something like that, but it's quite easy to get hold of the correct screwdriver if you need it. So with the screws out, you can lift the front off and lift the main controller out of the back shell. Move the shell parts to one side, and now we need to release the socket. So you can see the socket's wedged in place by the motherboard, so we need to remove that. And on the back of the controller, there are smaller T6 screws. These aren't security ones, just the standard T6, and you just need to take these out in order to be able to disengage the motherboard and allow access to the socket. Now, because it's not soldered in place, you'll be able to just lift that straight out, and it's time to put the new one in. I do find that using a pair of tweezers makes this much easier because you can hold it in place, and then you can push the motherboard down and locate it where it needs to be. And then if you keep the motherboard held in place, you can put the three T6 screws back in place, and the socket should be gripped in firmly. So after this, it's time to put it all back together again. So if you put the front and back shell on again, make sure they are correctly aligned. I find it easier to put the middle screw in the battery compartment in first. That holds everything in place, and then you can put the two screws in on either side. So you can see where to put the sticker back down. It really doesn't look like I've been in there at all. To put the side grips back on, you need to look at the shells themselves. One side of it will have some clips, and one side will have just some little pegs sticking out. The pegs go onto the side of the controller, and then you push it in towards the center to allow it to click back in place. They should pop in really easily. And then there you go. You've got your controller with your brand new headphone socket in place and not a soldering iron in sight. And that's it. It's a really straightforward process. So the replacement part, as I mentioned in the video, was from Zed Labs. They're relatively cheap, and in fact, they're even cheaper if you use my affiliate link in the description. You can just click straight through. Discount will automatically be applied to your order, and you can buy anything else from their awesome site too. So this is Joe Bleeps signing off from the shed. If you want to keep watching me, there'll be a few more videos popping up here. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.